Thank you for listening to the Dog Trainers Podcast, a podcast created by dog trainers for dog trainers, or anyone who's ever fallen in love with man's best friend.
That's something that I think I wish more people understood, owners and trainers and rescue people. And whenever we talk about limiting options, that's something that doesn't tend to go over super well. Like, it's not the kind of thing that you'll find many videos of on YouTube.
Digestible.
Right. It just doesn't sound sexy. Right. So the way that I've noticed that you get people to truly understand why it matters, like why your program helped you. You know, I did basic training for the Air Force and all that good stuff. Why that helps, why it's even a thing. Like, why do we bother? Because the way that I explain it to people is sometimes your dog just needs enough space, like mental space, for you to they just need a little bit of space for something to set in. Sometimes the cup is so full and you're trying to fill it with more stuff. And it's like, well, you know, the dog right now is just not in a position to intake information.
And
whereas
human owner as well.
Correct. Right. So that's what we were talking about a second ago when I was saying that, like, sometimes it's beneficial to get them away from each other. But in the dog's conditioning process itself, when we talk about like limiting time with the dog, limiting affection when you do have the dog around and all that good stuff, not only do I agree that I think more people should know how to explain that it's just a matter of, if you make it rare, it's special. Like, if you get flowers every day, it just becomes a thing. It's no longer a special event. Like, at what point does a new car become just a car? Whereas if you keep it on an earned basis, the dog continuously gets to work for their reward, whatever that reward is. And not only do they earn the reward and the reward stays special, but the dog gets to keep working, reward aside, just the reward of working successfully and doing things right successfully. And the more that you corral the dog's options down, because they still have some, technically, like the dog could break place. I mean, they'll get corrected, but it's physically possible.
Not to eat too.
Right.
That does happen.
Right. But the goal is, the dog still has choices, but I'm limiting them down to the best of the bunch for now. As the dog gets better, I'll limit them down more and really kind of narrow the dog down. And then, like you were talking about, in like 6 months to a year's time, I can broaden those choices back out, because 100%. Now I'm confident that my dog has these options, but doesn't utilize them because they've seen the benefit of these choices.
Yeah. And it just goes back to those rewards, whether it's food, affection, play, right? If it's scarce, it becomes valuable. If you're given free affection and you have a dog that's severely leash reactive, that affection doesn't mean shit when they walk by a dog for the first time correctly. Yeah. Yes, we may have had to use a correction. That may be the Band-Aid. It's not, the correction is not the fix. It helps you get to the fix.
Yep, 100%. I wanted to talk to you guys about, so you guys both made the comments, and that's what I was going to say while you were talking. I completely agree with that. And we also understand that as dog trainers, it is a hard sell sometimes to get people on board, because it's not sexy, because of all that stuff.
I got an analogy for him.
Yeah, I want to hear it. I want to just prompt the next question. It's so important as dog trainers. Obviously, we understand dogs, but I think it's also so important for new listeners. They also have to understand people, right? Yeah. In this is a question for the table, is what do you think it is that's getting in the way for these people to understand?
Selfishness. One, it's not just selfishness. It's that people don't explain it the right way. Yeah. Right. That's trainers are not explaining it. They're not changing up their program. I mean, the problem is that dog training, as you guys know, is not one size fits all. No, it is not one size fits all. It is troubleshooting. It is pressure on, pressure off. And if this isn't working, we try something else. And if this isn't working, we try something else. And if we've exhausted all options, we start right back at kindergarten and we try it for a longer duration. Right. But like, just for example, another analogy, and this is for dog trainers, right? You think about a human baby, right? A dog will never have the mental capacity of a 3-year-old child, right? Right. So when you think about a human baby, where is that baby for the first 3 years of life? It's not like you're leaving it in the kitchen with the stove on and the knife drawer open and the freezer open so that baby can make a mistake. No, that would be devastating to a baby. You put that baby on lockdown. That baby is in your arms. It's in its crib. It's in its car seat, in a high chair, on a blanket with your eyes on, right? For the first 3 years of that kid's life.
Right.
So if you could put a kid on lockdown, I'm sorry, you could put a dog on lockdown.
True.
Right?
True. And those of you guys listening, John Gatto was talking about, the mental capacity of dogs. The science says dogs don't really age past the age of 2.5 to 3 years old, right? But they do have the social tendencies of teenagers every now and then, right? I think that was a study done by Stanley Coren in one of his books, which is really great. But that's true, and I would be devil's advocate on that real quick.
Yeah.
Because people would say, well, I pick my kid up, I'm showing them affection, I am feeding them, I am, I'm loving them, all that stuff, right? So that would be the argument back. How would you go back?
Okay, so when your baby is overtired and it's crying and it doesn't need a diaper change, it doesn't need a bottle, and it doesn't want affection, what does it need?
Rest.
No. It needs a nap.
Oh, nap. Yeah.
Right. So we got to let that baby cry it out.
Yeah.
Right. That's how we respond.
Yeah.
Right. That's game for all you guys listening, by the way. That's
You're
game.
welcome.
Right. That's your rebuttal. Right. What can they possibly? There's no way every time some baby cries that they go run and pick it up. Right. There might be an exception, right? But the reality is those parents have that baby on a schedule, so they know when that baby has to go to bed. Because if the baby's supposed to go to bed, I don't even have a kid. I just know this because of my sister, right? If a baby goes to bed at 7:30 p.m. every day and wakes up at 6 a.m. every day, that's the game plan. My sister is so worried that if they're 1 minute late, it's going to ruin the schedule for the baby, right? Doesn't matter if the baby cries for 45 minutes. The same way in the crate. You think about puppies, right? And people always talk about, oh, my puppy's nipping. My puppy's he's acting aggressively. No, your puppy is overtired and overstimulated. And that overstimulation is turning into reactivity, looking like aggression. Maybe it turns into fear, right? Put that puppy in the crate, let it cry it out for 5 minutes to 45 minutes and let it fall asleep.
Yep. I always tell people, like, when your dog gets overstimulated or overtired, they become drunk.
Yes.
There's either going to be a happy drunk, playful drunk, or an angry drunk. Those are the only two drunks.
100%, man.
Yeah. Okay. So why else do you guys think, from a dog owner, right? You mentioned that they're selfish. Yes. Right. You mentioned that they're selfish. And I think that's something I want to touch base on. How would you say that they're selfish? Give me context.
Okay. So they may not know at first, but when you run into somebody like me or somebody like you or Jonas Black, right? And I just bring you guys up because I've seen your guys' work, right? So once you know what your dog actually needs and you can't put aside your selfish wants for what your dog actually needs, that's selfishness.
100%. Yeah. And I would say a lot of it, sometimes it's that immediate gratification, that desire to feel, right? That oxytocin.
Can I push back on that a little bit?
Sure.
So I personally have noticed, I definitely do see selfishness in the dog owner world and the dog rescue world, probably more so actually, because they know more, they know better, dog rescuers. They just may not always be open to like different techniques and things. When it comes to owners and like fosters and stuff like that, I notice it's not so much that they're selfish necessarily. It's that they feel helpless. Like they know what the goal is. They just don't think they can do it, and everybody's like, I think everybody is like that. Not everybody is like selfish, I think, but everybody's like, oh man, who wouldn't want to be,
maybe you're saying.
Well, not even necessarily. It's not that it's like I've tried and I've failed. It's more like, how many people do any of us come across on the daily that's like, oh man, I should really start eating better. And they just don't. They know how. They just don't do it. And I don't consider that selfish. I don't even necessarily consider that lazy. And I used to. What flipped my thought process out of like, oh, they're just lazy, is working with the foundation here. There's all kinds of people who want to help. They just don't know what to do, so they don't do anything. It's more analysis paralysis than it is lazy. Yeah. So I found that what's made me successful in training here and in LA and wherever is I'm good at getting that particular owner. Like once you get a feel for who they are and how they are, I can kind of custom tailor information to make them understand not only what to do, but you actually can do this if you do the work. Otherwise, I've noticed a lot of people, it's almost like a seminar, like not necessarily like a training seminar, but let's say like a small business type seminar where there's always that one speaker, like, let me show you how to turn your social media into money or whatever. It sounds great. And it's not that I don't believe what you're telling me. It's just, it's so much information that it's like, okay, I go home and I'm like, what again? Whereas if you can break it down, it's beneficial.
But it's our job as the dog trainer. We're really human trainers, right? It's our job to show them that there's hope if they listen.
Agree.
Right? That's the problem. If you can't show the owner that there's hope, that's the struggle.
You got to show them the treasure map and how to get to the treasure.
And that's exactly why I was saying earlier in this episode, in order to go from obedience to behavior, which I think that, you know, listening should start with the obedience because it's a little less risky, let's say.
Yeah, 100%.
Less for sure.
You could put yourself in a dangerous situation.
Right. You can you can mess up a lot more with obedience, as you should. Like get all your kinks out where it's not like life or death for the dog.
Yeah.
But once you move into like high risk, high reward stuff, that's when, yes, you have to know all your stuff. Like you've got to be that black belt dog trainer. You've got to know everything, but that's what I meant when I said, you've got to be able to task switch as you go through things and figure out what works and what doesn't, while staying confident, because the owners are looking to you for comfort. So if you look confused, if you look like you don't know what you're doing, they're going to be like, well, shit. Whereas I've definitely had clients before where like, they just have that energy about them. Like, man, I have no idea. Like, you just tell me and I'll do it. You know, in fact, I have a client like that right now. I have a dog who I trained. It was a private lesson client. And I trained this dog. I finished them out about like maybe like 3 months ago, finished. It was a pity rescue, big pity. His name is Hank. And he's a sweet boy, but he's a classic pity. He's so excitable that he just becomes agitated and frustrated. And then he started biting, but he's not aggressive. The second you calm him down, the person he's going after, he'll go and play with, but he's just too much for his own good. And so I finished these people out. Dog did well. They called me back and I went back out for the first time last Sunday. The dog went after me. He knows me. He was all happy to see me. And he tried to bite me twice, like back to back. And I get the dog, and the mom, of course, is freaking out, like she's sitting there kind of half frozen like this. She looks scared of him. She's holding the leash. Looks like she's scared of holding the leash. I take him from her and I'm nice and cool. I'm like, hey, give me the leash. Give me this, give me that. She's like, are you okay? I was like, he didn't get me. I moved. Don't worry about it. Give me the leash. Like, and I'm just trying to make her feel better. It's like she was in a car accident. I put the dog in place. I leave him there for like 30 seconds. I start talking to her nice and calm. And you can see her like, are you sure everything's okay? And she's calming down. And then I release Hank. So he comes to me and she, and then he comes right over to me and is playing with me, licking my face. And I'm like, you guys need to chill, And then my very next thing was like, what happened? This dog was so good, and it was the classic, like, he was doing so well. I guess we got a little relaxed, yada, yada, yada. And I was like, you guys, I'll be honest with you. It's funny how this timed out. My last lesson with them, I had a hard, like, heart-to-heart conversation with another client who did the exact same shit. He was doing so well. I relaxed, yada, yada. Long story short, he reacted toward a dog, and because I wasn't ready, he like broke my finger because I had the leash all tied up in my hands. And
that relapse, that
relapse, right? Exactly. And so I told her this time, I was like, what the funny thing is? Now I'm going to tell you what I told my other client last time I saw you. Remember that hard lesson about stick to it. It was working. You saw it working and you stopped. Why did you stop? And she was like, oh shit. And she remembered the conversation when I told her. She was like, oh, I know. And then owners are really quick to like jump on themselves. Like, oh, I know I should be doing this. I should be doing that. And I'm like, listen, I don't really care about all that. Like, I'm not here to blame you. I need you to understand how serious this is. If you want this dog to get better, I need you to do your work. That doesn't include kicking yourself in the ass, but that does include being on top of it,
Well, speaking on that, and you're talking about nutrition, right? So it's not like, I love analogies, by the way. Okay.
I think all good dog trainers do.
Okay. So it's not like you're on this health kick and you've been on point for 6 months. You've been kicking ass. You've lost 35 pounds. You're eating the same 5 meals every single day. You're looking good. You're looking fit. You have a bad day. You fucking have a beer. You go to McDonald's. What happens? Do you let all that hard work go to shit and go right back to fast food every day? Or do you get right back on that fucking horse?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Well, the problem is it's a tale of two worlds, because what you're supposed to do is get right back on the horse. The problem is when you fuck up, it's easier to stay on the wrong path. So like my thing, you know, I grew up boxing, and the joke in the gym is like, if you don't go tomorrow, you won't go the next day. So you better go tomorrow. You know, it's really hard to keep going to the gym in the morning when you're getting punched in your face, and then you have to go to work after that all fucked up, you know. And like, and it's embarrassing. Like, you know, sometimes when you're sparring, if you do well, it's fun and everything, but there's the nerves of like, I want to do well. There's the embarrassment of like, man, I got my ass kicked. Or whatever, you know. So not to mention injury and just being tired and blah, blah, blah. So momentum is a super real thing. And I think something that a lot of newer trainers can really benefit from is start to find ways to develop momentum with the owners. And that, even in behavior, that is where I think obedience really has its place. Because, you know, how do you take this dog and right. Well, and for the owners, you know, okay, do me a favor, muzzle condition him for me. Okay, I can do that. Great. And then reward the owners. For it sounds so funny to say it like that.
To succeed.
Right. Training the owner. It's like, okay, good job with the muzzle conditioning, blah, 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 blah. One thing I've been practicing with is, you know, because in normal life, like I'm a very quiet person. I don't really like talking to people. I'm an introvert, like through and through. In training,
I fucking talk to people all day.
Yeah, like in training though, like me and Brent will go out and he'll meet like 4 or 5 new friends, and I'm just there like, hey. But in training though, I can talk to my clients. This is work. This is what I do. But I've been experimenting lately with huge benefit. By the way, I'm way faster now to reward owners. You know, like they'll do something right. I'm like, yes, good job, blah, blah, and I'll talk to them more. And it sounds so like elementary, but it really, really works. It gets them on board, and it makes them feel even the tiniest piece of momentum. And I'm like, good, do it again. And then I can feel their energy. And then all of a sudden, you know, I see them next week and I'm like, you guys, you fucking killed it, you know? But sometimes it's just a little bit of starting somewhere, and something as simple as like, can you get the dog to sit for me? Can you do it with the leash? No. How about with the treat? Okay, let's do that. Oh, good. Do it again. Oh, good. Do it again. Oh, good. Make them wait this time. Oh, good. Whatever. And so like obedience has its place, but the real good behaviorists, they like I said about the hip hop, like they know what to leave out. They're not going to sit and bother their dog with like really fancy, you know, whatever. It's just, I know enough about all the obedience that I know you just want this, and this. So let me focus on those things in a way that makes sense to you.
And it's funny because all of our behaviors are based on the same thing. Does it bring us pain or does it bring us pleasure? The difference is smart humans like you going to the gym to hit in the face, right? You have learned that a little pain today pays tomorrow, right? We're so similar. It's crazy. Like really McDonald's, it's good. It's like that instant gratification right now is amazing, right? I don't know, but it's like
salt.
It's
the salt. Is that all
yeah.
it is?
But it's like
MSG.
Over time, it turns into this negative thing where you got man boobs and you got a gut.
He's just describing me right now.
Hey, I have the same trouble. Check out Quirk Nutrition, man. Like, so I went with him. I went from being 208. I'm down to 177 now, but I was down to 169.
How tall are you, John?
I am 5'9" and 3/4. And
okay.
Yes, I would say 5'10", but I'm a quarter short.
3 3/4.
We're like the same height. Okay, so you're 170. I'm a little too skinny. I'm like at 150 right now.
Bunch of don't body shame.
It's I mean, I struggle, right? The whole thing is, you know, it's not that I don't have time for it. I'm strapped for time. It's that I'm not making time for it. Right. It's
your brain prioritizes things.
Yes. It's like, here's the funny thing about me. I can meal prep for my dogs every morning, right? But when it comes to me, it's like, if, like you said, if I'm on it every day, it's easy. It's just like clockwork. I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. I get my dogs all figured out. I start meal prepping for myself. Boom, it's ready to rock and roll. And then I go travel, and that travel messes up everything.
True. The busier you are, the shittier you eat.
Dude, it's how it works. It's like when I'm out in LA, like I don't eat fast food, but it's like
eating out here.
Yes. I'll have the energy drink out here.
Well, dude, you guys should go to Wood Ranch. I love that place. And Brent's like, right. I love Wood Ranch so much.
It was good. We used to go back when you were in LA. I want to touch base on a subject now that we have, because I know you're running a little short on time, but I wanted to talk to you. So it's not every guest is a specialist in the sense of like their main focus is rescue work, right? And I grew up working a lot with rescues. The reason I became a dog trainer in the first place, I was volunteering at the shelter for 6-7 months, and it changed my whole life trajectory when I was 18, right? And so I want to really just dive into the rescue world a little bit with you, because a lot of dog trainers, you know, I think the most common question they get is like, how do I build up my business, right? And the basic advice is just volunteer for rescues and train those dogs. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Volunteer for rescues and train those dogs. Go to the shelters and train those dogs. However you can help a homeless animal or a dog in need, even if you're just teaching them basic obedience, it makes them more marketable to get adopted. Teach them how to loose leash walk at the shelters. They'll get picked up quicker. And these are all the things very similar to you. Watched Cesar Millan when I was a kid. Yep. Did all that shit at the shelter. And when you're a young kid looking for a purpose and you see that you're effective at something, you're just like,
feels good.
It feels great.
Yeah.
It feels great. So talk to me a little bit about kind of the rescue world. Like, what is...
Okay. It's depending on which route you're going to go in methodology, it can be a very dangerous place for you. Right. I you know, Chad, Team Floppy Ears, has been destroyed by rescues, and he's like the best guy you've ever met. Right. He's a bleeding heart for dogs. The struggle is finding a rescue that has an open mind to different methodologies. Right. I went through 6 different rescues where it was horrific. Right. And I finally found Love Pup, and they were a little skeptical at first with my balanced approach, but when they started to see the changes that took place for their behavioral cases, like in 2020, I took in 24 rehabilitation cases to rehabilitate. All of them have been successfully placed and have not been returned.
Wow.
Right. That's
100%.
That's 100%. I mean, that's a hell of a way to start. Right. But it's that's not going to happen. Right. It's just not going to happen. But what you have to do is you have to find the rescue, and you have to prove to them that you're going to show up, that you're not there for that 5-minute Instagram post. That's you ask Love Pup, you ask Incredible Stella. There's tens of thousands of people that wish that they can volunteer for those places. Right. But what happens over and over and over is we get people who come in, get their Instagram story, and then they're out. Do you really want to rescue, or do you want to appear as if you want to rescue? That's the question, right? It's, you know, coming in, even if it's once a week, is going to do, like, you have to imagine these dogs, you know, maybe in a rescue, their life might be a little bit better, but these dogs have nothing. They're in a crate all day. And just by you showing up and hand feeding them, you're giving them some joy. Just by taking them for a walk, you're giving them exposure, right? You're getting them ready for the next home. The struggle is that people are unwilling to sacrifice their precious time. Right. When I first started off, I didn't have social media. I've only had it for 2 years. Right. But I didn't have social media. I didn't have TV. Right. I didn't waste my time doing nonsense. Right. I put all my energy into rescue. I volunteered every single day. Right. Without a doubt, even though I was broke and I couldn't pay my bills, I made it a point to rescue, because I knew that's what was going to make me a better trainer. Right. What you have to do is you have to go in there and you have to show up. Talk is cheap. Talk is cheap. You know, you could see 1,000 trainers doing this. Right. You could see it all day. You could see this all day, but let's see it. Let's see the proof in the pudding. So if you truly want to rescue, and it's not for the weak-hearted, it is not. There are some things that happen that you don't want to hear about. There's things that happen that you don't want to see. There are dogs that have to be put down. But here's the thing. In those cases, you have to think, do you want that dog to be put down in this miserable state where it's just confused, or do you want to stare in its eyes and give it love in those last few moments? It's heartbreaking. It kills your heart, but it's those moments that really help you understand what these dogs are up against, right? If you could bring a little joy to the lives of many, why not do it, right? Sacrifice. Put it out, etch it out in your calendar that for the next 6 months, you're going to volunteer 3 times a week and show up. Don't let drinking at the bar get in the way. Don't let smoking pot get in the way, right? Don't let watching a stupid TV show get in the way. Make it a priority. Make it a priority in your life. Make a promise to yourself and don't break this promise, right? You just got to show up. They're just begging you to show up.
Yeah, I mean, that's great advice, because I think even from a experience development side, like just developing experience, working with the same dog, you will only see how effective you are as a dog trainer by seeing consistent work with the dog. And I think a lot of times, you know, like I have a couple people that intern for me, and they're actually having to borrow neighbors' dogs because they don't own their own pets, right? And part of what we require is we want them to be able to go to rescues and shelters and then volunteer, right? At my old company, we actually had relationships with several rescues where when we had interns in, they automatically went to those 4 or 5 rescues.
That's the
those
game.
dogs, train those dogs. And that's simply just to gain experience, right? And the interesting thing is those people who are interested in, we live in a generation right now that if you do not give, you will not get, right? And there are some people out there who, you know, they will maybe want to do, you know, show up a couple times just to get their card on the to get handed out, right? But the reality of it is the best business grower is word of mouth. And on top of that, in order to get word of mouth, you actually have to show the results, right? Now, even if all you are good at is teaching the dog obedience, or teaching the dog how to loose leash walk, or teaching the dog how to do some play stays or whatever it might be, do it. Because guess what? You know how many dogs go in and out of a rescue? You know how many rescues know other rescues who need dogs? And if you guys make yourself, and I think who taught this? I think this might have been Tony Robbins. Proximity is power, right? And so if you're trying to develop a business, if you are at the same rescue over and over and over for weeks, for months, you are their number one trainer, whether or not you are the best trainer. If you're the one that shows up, if you're the one with the passion, if you're the one with the commitment, you know, you will get the referral. You will get the referral. And that's the bottom line, right? So from a business standpoint, it helps you. From a skill development aspect, it's a huge, great piece of advice.
Like I wouldn't be traveling the United States every week if it wasn't for volunteering. Like straight up, straight up. I would not be where I'm at today if it was not for my volunteer work.
Well, and I think too, a big function of volunteering and showing up is it opens doors. Sorry, I think my girlfriend just got home. It opens doors that are indirect. So I almost look at things like that old game hopscotch. It's like you get to this square, then you get to this square, then you get to, but you can't skip squares. You got to go from 1 to 2 to 3, then you get to the double. And Brent's 100% right, which is part of why I know we both know people who have started their businesses by volunteering with rescues and offering like heavily discounted training or whatever the case to build some sort of notoriety and loyalty with them. Now they send them clients, like regular, you know, full price clients. But that if that is the direct benefit, the indirect benefit is like rescue aside, the people you work with there aside, you know, there's someone who goes and adopts a dog on their own. They think that you're good and sweet, or because now you have a foster dog, you're doing training with, you have examples to put online for social media, and then somebody finds your Instagram page. Like that's another way in which momentum is just a very real thing. You know, the busier you are, the busier you will be. And it's as easy as like, I'm training a dog for someone in a wheelchair right now. So I push around in a wheelchair in stores to teach him to heel to it and not get run over by it and not be in front of it and stuff like that. So I'm walking around, or I'm, you know, rolling around with this dog in a wheelchair. And it's as simple as these ladies, you know, they see me, they talk to me one day, I come back the next day, they're there too. And this time one wants a card and I think nothing of it. I'm like, oh, sure. You know, and then she called me, and then 2 days later, I have her dog here training. You know, it's easy. It's like, if you just get out there and just take a dog out there and start working, you'll find people are looking. And if you feel like, you know, if you're newer to the game, because like we talked about, people, if they don't know what to do, they just don't do anything. Even as we're sitting here talking about it, somebody's like listening to this going, oh, that makes sense. And then they're just never going to go to a rescue. If it's something that's intimidating because you don't think that you're that good or whatever the case, whatever knowledge you do currently have, whatever simple stuff you can currently teach, I guarantee you right now, there are dogs in the rescue nearest to you that could benefit from even that simple stuff. Sits with food.
Lives.
Right. You know, and
lives.
It is the simplest thing that could change a ridiculous amount. Like every dog trainer, I'm sure every dog trainer has had that story where it's like, oh man, the dog was easier than I thought. It was like, I taught him this, this, and this, and they totally transform in like 2 days. So there's a million of those dogs out there in rescues. And if you start with the most simple stuff like that, not only are you helping the dogs as you should be doing, but it's still getting your foot in the door, even if you're a very basic trainer, even if you have to offset for that somehow. I don't know, like less expensive lesson costs or something. Like, there's a market out there for all kinds of different stuff, right? There's Domino's and there's Little Caesars.
Bro,
So
I just like, if you're just do it for free. Just do
No,
it for free. Like,
no, I
mean,
agree.
And
Like-
then you'll like, you do it for free a couple times, they're gonna appreciate you, right? And just like you said, the whole, like, if you look at my social media, when it blew up, it's the rescue dogs that blew up. The difficult rescue dogs blew me up. It wasn't the dog I'm teaching sit to. It was the difficult rescue dogs that I was volunteering to save.
I'm talking outside of volunteering.
Oh, okay.
Like volunteering, yeah, it's volunteering, it's free,
Yes,
right?
yes.
But I'm talking about, like, if you're a newer trainer who's looking to get better or looking to get clients, because these days, especially with COVID and everything, everybody had that, like, I have to find clients, like, there's work out there, but I can't find it for whatever reason type thing, right? Everybody had that struggle.
Yeah.
So
it was 2 months that were rough.
yeah,
Just
the
those
first
2
2
months.
months,
Yeah.
yeah, the first 2 months were super rough for me anyway.
And then it
People were like, "Oh, we're stuck at home."
I lost 20 pounds.
Yeah, then it got super duper busy. I don't even know what to do with myself now.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it is a fascinating sort of thing to where if you want to get better, go for, and volunteer your time. Yes. But I'm talking about in your own private practice as a trainer. If you know that you're new or not as experienced or whatever, and you like offset for that by like, oh, well, my lesson costs less than the next guy or something. The more that you work with these dogs, even if it's simple stuff, it's the more experience you have with that simple stuff will slowly push you out into more stuff. Like nobody learns everything all at once. It's like, oh, I got good at sit with food. Oh, I can make the dog wait. Oh, I noticed if my hand placement is like this, I can make him wait a little longer. And you slowly get better with small mechanisms of learning. And that's when you can bump up your prices or whatever the case. Not to mention, because you've been volunteering, you're in front of all these eyeballs, you're in front of all these people, you're networking with all these people who they network with their little network of people, and you're totally establishing yourself and you have no idea. And I think one of the biggest tragedies of today with social media and everything, as great as social media is, it's so good that I think people don't believe you. Like they hear you, but they don't really believe you when you say in-person networking is still just huge. It's almost everything. I think like the most clients I've gotten here in Arizona, and I've got the social media, we've got the podcast and all this other stuff, is just, I show up, I work with rescues directly. I work with rescues through the foundation. I've got my Untamed business. I've got everything else. And just like you, I've always got 1 to 2 foster dogs at a time. A lot of them are feral from the reservations around here, and and I flip them around, same sort of thing, domesticate them, train them, socialize them, send them out, find owners for them. I'll charge a little bit more the adoption fee to offset for like their training tools and lessons and stuff like that. But that's where I get the majority of my like referral base now is, oh yeah, Bodhi's dad. I'm like, oh no way, how's Chris doing? And it's stuff like that, But I think people really need to believe us when we tell you, doing work like this, it really, really does work. Go to a rescue, start somewhere.
You got a guy right here is living proof of it.
Like,
right.
dude,
well, me too. Same thing here.
Here's an example. I volunteer with Incredible Stella, right? I got flown out to Florida to go help because they saw my work with Incredible Stella, my volunteer work. They saw it. The mom liked it, told her daughter, they flew me out. And it like,
you're like, what the hell?
Like, I was like, how? Like, why'd you pick me? Right? Like, I'm thinking, why wouldn't you be calling Robert Cabral? Why wouldn't you be calling like Larry Crone or something? Right? Why'd you call me? And it's the work that I did in
You impressed them.
Right? It's volunteer. Like, I'm not joking. Volunteering made me the trainer I am today. Right?
And you say this on your Instagram, but like there's. So you say that there's no trainer who's put in as much volunteer.
No way. No flipping way. Maybe Robert Cabral. Maybe, right? I don't think, there are times at my house that I have 13 dogs and they're all rescue dogs. And my head is about to fly off.
Right. And that in and of itself makes you a specialist. It makes you a specialist
crazy
in this field.
And it's like,
question for you.
Yeah.
So Brent and I have been hammering down this idea that we are looking to implement some point here within the next 60 days, right? Am I right about that? Would you say?
Yep.
Now the idea is this, and I want to get your feedback on it, and I want to know.
Can I say one thing real quick, and then you say that, because I think it's going to lead into that.
Go ahead.
Okay. So in the rescue world, in dog training, working with rescues, there's kind of, I always looked at it like there's like a trinity that needs to happen in order to really help rescue animals. Okay. Obviously we got adoption, right? Adoption is, and rescue, like actually taking the dogs in, saving
it's
them.
not enough though.
No, it's not enough.
Mental well-being.
Then there's a spay and neuter, right? Spay and neuter is a thing. The biggest one that's been missing is the education. How do we educate groups of people? How do we educate trainers? How do we educate? Because in a world, the rescue world especially, that is filled with so much compassion and protection and coddling, how is it that we can educate people and make things make sense in a way that's going to be effective?
Mental well-being.
Right.
I don't want a dog.
And I understand that, but I would say even a high percentage of human beings are still suffering with mental well-being, right?
Yes.
And I would say, so it's an easy answer. What I want to figure out and what I want to lead into you, Mariano, what you were going to say was, how do we go about teaching masses, people? Does it start at the small level? Does it start at is it a video we make? Is it a seminar we do? What is it?
Video is a good idea, but the problem is ego in the rescue world and the dog training world, right? Everyone thinks that their way is the only way, right? And that's the problem and this is the sad part about it, is us being balance trainers.
Yep.
90% of rescues fucking hate our guts.
Sure.
Right? That they hate our guts.
Sure.
They'll use us on the down low, but they'll never admit it, right? Until we take out the coddling and until we take out the human emotion and do what's right for the dog, nothing's going to really change. We can help a small number of rescues that have an open mind. For instance, Repos and Rescues out there in Detroit, solid rescuer, right? But we need to stop making it a competition. I mean, and I'm included in this problem. I'm a bigot too, right? We're like, the dog training world is full of bigots, right? They hate positive only, they hate force free, and vice versa. We all do it. And I am just as guilty of it. I'm trying my hardest not to call people out and make those funny videos that I used to do, because it is just making the problem worse. Right.
Just pissing people off.
Exactly. And
we
it's not going to help.
We may have a solution here.
Okay,
and we want to know how interested you'd be in helping us out with it.
Let's hear it. Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think competition is a bad thing. Now, diminishing other training methodologies, that's not very helpful. That's not something that we really care to do. It's our jobs. Like the way that Brent and I, we have always done so well together as friends, I think, just because we think so similar, not just with dog training, but just in general. But when it comes to dog training, I think we both kind of came to this conclusion. It's our jobs to be good at food work and leash work and e-collar work and this and that. So it's not really like positive reinforcement doesn't work, because it does. Now, if somebody, and we've had some amazing conversations with some legit ass trainers, by the way, who right, Denise Fenzi, Sarah Bruschi, who are pure positive trainers. And, it's a choice. It's something that they like. They have realistic understandings of the different methods of training, and they chose their way for their own personal reasons, which is totally fine as I look at it. So with that being said, I don't necessarily think, I don't think competition is bad. I think competition is good. I think we should be getting together and mixing it up. And so the idea that I wanted to coin to you is, Brent and I, at some point in the next couple months here, we're going to take the podcast to the next level by starting to reach out to the guests that we've had on and do a sort of reality TV type thing. It's kind of, we have to hammer down the specifics, but essentially it's going to be, we want trainers. We're gonna do it ourselves as well. Take on dogs, whatever the case, behavioral or obedience or whatever's going on, and we document the whole thing beginning to end, and then we make it into like an episode, and then we put it out, or a season or something, and we put it out. And that's in a direct attempt to move into our next sort of phase, which is clubs. Like in Arizona is a big sport dog club, or a sport dog state. I notice there's all kinds of Schutzhund clubs all over the place between me and you, right? And you're only like right there in Gilbert, right?
I'm in Phoenix.
Oh, you're in Phoenix too. Oh, okay. So if there's so many sport dog clubs, why aren't there like pet obedience clubs? Why can't people get together, try out the different stuff, see what works, see what doesn't, kind of test their mettle
together?
Right, troubleshoot together. But like the jiu-jitsu thing, that's why these guys continue to grow, because they keep mixing it up.
Yeah,
right.
Studios.
Other styles, other coaches, other this, other that.
It's so funny you bring this up. when I talk with Joan, like me and Jones talk all the time, right? And we talk about going rescue to rescue, troubleshooting problems, because we train totally differently. I mean, there's a lot of similarities, but using two minds to troubleshoot a behaviorally challenged dog together. And it sounds like that's exactly what you're talking about, bro.
Well, and we talked to him about this sort of thing as well, and he was open to it, right? And so that is the idea, because again, I agree, there is a weird amount, like you wouldn't even expect this weird amount of like pride or politics or whatever in the dog world, like rescues and training and whatever. But at the same time, egos and all that stuff, they still leave space for laziness. That's true. But even when the laziness is gone, that still leaves space for, I would if I knew what to do. I think that's where the majority of people are. I really believe that. And while there are like the go-getters out there who just kind of start on their own, and I admire that like nobody's business. But if we made it a little bit more accessible, then more people would do it. 100%. Right? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a drink, but I can still lead you to water. So
constantly, so I tell my clients that all the time.
Right. But I love the other half of it. Like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make a drink. But if I lead you to water, I didn't hurt your chances. So it's, that's the kind of thing that I wanted to gauge your interest on. So you and I are both in Phoenix.
Bro, I would be down to troubleshoot with any trainer.
Well, check this out. I want to make sure you know the concept. So what we're actually doing is we are making sure, like we are documenting a rescue rehab.
Yeah.
For a month, 2 months, and we're creating a documentary series on it.
Dude.
Yeah. And what we want to do is we're doing it with us first for first episode to work the kinks out. But then what we want to do is we want to go to you. We want to, for a month and a half.
Yeah.
Jonas.
What you're doing. The key is we want to show how a trainer trains. We want to put the spotlight on them. So then that way they can show what is it about them that gets this job. Now there might be haters, there might be people talking
100%.
shit, but the bottom line is if your dog goes from here and in a month and a half is here and gets a home and gets adopted, well, now what we're doing is we're showing how there's a bunch of different ways to get here.
100%, right? Dude. I love it.
And so the purpose of this is not only to inspire people, but it's also to help dog trainers see the spectrum of different colors in dog training.
100%.
And most importantly, show the best practices.
Well, I think it's important for newer trainers to take note. If they see, I don't really see newer trainers, like younger trainers, going after each other like that. It's mostly like more established trainers that I'll notice that are more comfortable going after pure positive or balanced trainers or whatever the case. But I'm sure it happens though, nonetheless. So what I think would be good would be for everybody to just keep in mind, anybody listening to this, just keep this in mind. Brent and I have, and I'm sure we will one day, but we've really tried to figure out how to approach this topic. Trainers tend to gravitate toward the methods of training that fit best with the trainer's value system. Doesn't necessarily make the training any less valuable. If it works, it works. Some pure positive trainers are legit. A lot of them are legit. Some balanced trainers don't know shit.
100%.
Right. So it's not a matter of like, this is necessarily better than that. It's when people pick what meshes with them, because it meshes with them, it's easier for them to pick it up and run with it so they get better, faster, yada, yada. I've noticed from not only a dog training perspective, but from a business owner's perspective, from a personal like self-development perspective, it's easiest for me to speak with people who are most like me, because it's just like, it's easy. It's like, you're my friend. The better I've gotten in everything, in business and life and whatever, I have a better time or an easier time communicating with people who are less and less similar to myself. But I've developed the skill set to bridge that gap. And I notice in training is a similar sort of thing. If I was just naturally more inclined to want to get into like leash work, e-collar work, something like that, when I got really good at it and then I had the wherewithal left over, I could still go learn everything else because it didn't feel like innate to me, but that doesn't mean I can't develop the skill like a runner, like rehab, like something else, right? So I think then it's fascinating where people choose to start based on their value system. But when we talk about people, going after each other, all the weird politics in the dog world, it's important to note that even if you started here and I started there, just like people, just like real human politics, it's not a matter necessarily. I mean, it could be in certain situations, I guess, but it's not necessarily a matter of like, I'm right and you're wrong. It's like, oh, well, I see it this way and I see it that way. value systems are a very real thing, but they could often lead to the exact same thing. Like everybody just wants what they perceive to be the best for everybody else, right? So for the dogs, then if you're considering going after someone, just remember this person's doing what they honestly believe to be the absolute best to get this dog from A to B.
Totally, dude. It's the one thing that you may not know. I started off as a purely positive trainer.
Ah,
That's how I started, man. I thought that balance trainers were evil, right? Until I was in the rescue world.
Balance or compulsion based training?
Both. I thought they were both just evil. I have a totally different mindset now, right? But I thought that how dare you give a dog a correction? How dare you hold your dog accountable, right? How dare you
someone held you accountable?
yeah.
Well, the struggle was, dealing with these behavioral cases. I was seeing dogs being put down at an alarming rate, right? And I'm sorry, but results matter to me.
Yeah.
Results matter.
Yeah.
Like, the one thing you may not know, I watch every methodology. I watch it all. I may not talk about it, but even not that I'm a fan or anything, even Zach George has some stuff that has helped me in my journey.
I'm cool. Right? I'm a fan of Zach George. I'll say it.
Like
get Zach George on here if he's done.
Like I'm just saying, Victoria Stilwell, I can't stand her, right? But I have watched every fucking thing that she's, I don't think that there's anything on YouTube that I haven't seen. Right. Chris Frage.
Because you're a learner.
Yes.
You like to learn.
Chris Frage. Have you seen the video of Chris Frage with the dog? It was a reservation dog that was just biting.
You don't know who he is.
No?
Chris Frage.
Chris Frage. Yeah.
Frage.
I'll send you a link to his
please
thing.
do.
But he has this video with trainers, ego, everyone, But this video is spectacular. This dog is launching, trying to bite. And this is how I learned from Chris, right? He's letting this dog bite him. Just bite.
On his raw arm, or is it a fake arm?
No, it's just his arm. He's just letting the dog bite. And yes, the dog's freaking out. Yes, he's bleeding, right? And yes, he's like, oh, fuck, that hurt. But he's not flinching. He's not flinching, right? And all this, like, I'm just saying it, like, I think he's a compulsion trainer, right? But seeing that, right? Seeing the change that happened to this dog a year later blew my flipping mind. And that's when I put my hand out there and I tried it. And you know what? Yes, Carr, like, I'm scarred up everywhere, right? I tried it, but I'm telling, and yes, you'll run into that motherfucker dog, right? But that's why when I see a dog that has a lack of confidence, I'll throw my hand right out. I'm not going to give him my hand like this open. I'll close that fist. I'll let them go to town. 99.9% of them, they don't bite down hard. They nip and then they're like, oh shit, that didn't work. But this one was from a healer. Ouch. Tore me up. Healers. And now I can't use my left hand, just does not work right anymore. I have troubles with prong collars. But all I'm saying is I don't care what it is. I will learn any way I can to make my toolbox more effective for my clients.
I know what I'm getting you for Christmas now.
What's that?
A rubber arm.
Put
that out there.
Right sleeve.
Yeah.
I mean, pretty crazy the amount of scars, right? I mean, I got them up here.
Wow.
Belly, all down my legs. I mean, it's nuts. But I'll tell you, every one of those, even the one here, I got stitches there.
They teach you shit.
I've learned so much.
Right? Now I will have to say, just if you guys can wear a bite glove,
yeah,
so
do that. Yeah.
My struggle, right, is when it comes to muzzle, from my experience, right, not other people's, not yours. I have found that it's different when you have the glove, right? They could tell. Right. It's different when they have a muzzle on. Here's the thing. If I could save a dog's life by taking a bite, 110% I'm taking that bite. 110%. And if it ends up being one of that 0.01% of dogs, it is what it is. At least I gave it a try. Right. You said something similar earlier, right? You may have led the horse to water, but
you can't make it drink, but I at least led you to water.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is, yes, gloves are wonderful. Parker with Leah, the service dog out there, and I think he's in Utah or Idaho. He's like, get bite gloves. I got the bite gloves, but it just wasn't the same. I wasn't getting the results because the dogs knew the difference. And then I
gotta tell you, I'm so sorry, but just in working with a lot of sport dogs, yes, dogs do learn how to target very effectively, bitey dogs, whether they be because of sport work or because of reactivity, dogs know how to target. They'll go for something like an arm or a leg. They don't just kind of like lash. Yeah. Meaning, if you approach them with like a big gauntlet that's meant for like handling birds and shit like that, yeah, they know it's different. Same thing with the bite sleeves are huge for people who may not know, and they're hard. They're not. They look like soft pillows. They're not. So if you approach a dog with it, they're more likely to just back away. That's why I was saying a rubber arm, because it looks like an arm, and you slip it into your sleeve and you're holding onto it inside your long sleeve. So the dog doesn't know it's fake. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. I've talked with Jonas about this all the time. Right. And that's, so one thing that Jonas respects me about is I feel it, right? I just,
the smell.
I just feel like, and this is in my experience, man, is I just feel personally inside that my style is more, one day, am I going to lose a hand? Probably. Like with the dogs that I'm dealing with, right? Yeah. Like this hand already doesn't work, right? I just got insurance on my hands just in case.
Nice.
Right?
Good.
Right. But I'm just saying that I follow my gut. So you were talking about, boxing and karate, right?
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu, sorry. And how when you're a white belt, you're like trying to follow the rules, right? You're just right. And I feel the same way with dog training, man. It's at first I tried to follow the rules and I kept on having issues. And now, yeah, I have these rules, but I deviate constantly, right? And it's like the one thing that I feel that I have is that troubleshooting. I can turn a shit situation into an amazing situation. That's the one gift. And I don't like, I'm just, me, but I feel that my gut is generally right about situations, right? Now, if I'm going to be put into a room with a 140-pound Cane Corso like Bob again, you bet your ass I'm going to be playing it safe, right? Yeah. I'm not. You put me in a room with a wolf hybrid and that dog's coming to hurt me, you bet your ass I am going to take precautions, right? Yeah. But for most of these pet dogs, it's
and to your point, 99.9% of them don't really bite.
Exactly.
Bite down,
right.
But usually the bad bites are the ones you weren't ready for.
It's the fear.
Right.
Yeah. It's the fear. It's never the dominant aggressive dog that does it. No. It's never that overexcited dog. Yeah. It is that fearful dog who you stick it out there and he goes ham on you. And I can see it now, right? And it's only because I put like literally a fearful dog that's bit hella people. I'll just close my fist, put it out there, and he just, I'll get you the video. It's nuts. And he just,
oh, you have video?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet he can hold that camera still.
I'd like to see that. Yeah.
He's just going to town and I just leave it out there and it hurt like shit, right? It hurt like shit. And it's like, that dog is doing much better now, but that is a fear case, right? I had a reservation dog from, what's his name? Corey Hart, the baseball player. His wife is a big advocate for rescue, and she took in this rescue dog. The dog was living in their backyard for 7 months, but they couldn't get within 20 feet of the dog, right? So what did I have to do? I had to get out there, and we'd get the leash on, and the dog would just chew it off.
Isn't that crazy? Right? How just smart they are.
I mean, it was brutal. And then the dog was figuring it out, and we had to get this dog to like pretty much exhaustion. And I had to wrap a blanket over its head, and it's biting me through the. I mean, just going to town. And you know what? That dog Aspen is now living inside the house. With them. Oh, that's awesome. She's going on car trips now. She's going on vacation with them. She still is indifferent. She doesn't want other people to be around her. She still doesn't want the family to just pet her, and that's fine. But she's living happily with them in the room. So you bet your ass, for a dog like Aspen, she stood no chance. I'll take that bite 10,000 times to help a dog.
Yeah. I have a bunch of similar stories because I've taken a lot of feral dogs from the different rescues around here. But instead of like listing them out, I just want to kind of get back to, so you'd be open to the idea then if we were 100%. To all set up some sort of group or something 100%. So that we can kind of mentor some of these newer trainers. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Bro, if you're in Arizona, we should meet up, dude. We should try to get some people, some up and comers. I got this new guy who wants to be a trainer who's willing to foster, right? So he's coming over to my house to meet some of my dogs to see how he interacts with them. Cause
make sure they got it.
You got to have a little juice, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You got to have the juice. But I think, bro, I think that if we could if you're out there, I'm out there, bro. Let's
What
do
part of
it.
Phoenix are you in?
I'm on the west side, right by the 17.
Right by the 17. I don't think you're far from me. I'm right off of the 51. I'm like right near PV.
Yeah. Dude, I'm out there every day. I don't get any clients over on the west side. I get them all on the east side, North Scottsdale. But I'm saying is if you want to get together, bro.
I'm down. You're back in town Tuesday. I'm here.
Here's the thing. There's something that you can teach me. There's something that I can teach you. And there's something that these up and coming trainers can teach us both. Yeah.
Well, and there's something, my favorite part about Brent, like I think I said this once in a post on the Dog Trainers Podcast Instagram, is my favorite part about knowing Brent, of all the people, all the family, all the friends, is two people who are, it's rare to find somebody as hardworking and who was also as focused, who also thinks ahead as Brent does. I'd like to think I'm one of those people, and I'd like to think that together we can collaborate, because we have that combination of, I'm currently busy. I've got a bunch of dogs who I'm gonna have to get out as soon as we're done here before I go to this eval. So I can focus on my day-to-day and just grind it out without losing perspective of what's to come in the future. People either play one game or the other, right? So what I've noticed with Brent is when he and I have done content together before the podcast, during the podcast, now we're looking into what's coming alongside it and possibly past it. I don't know. Two people can do way more than one. Like, it's not twice as much work. It's like 17 times as much work. I could have never have gotten this far with the podcast without Brent, and I'm sure it's vice versa. So
yeah, delegation is key.
Right. Well, and also just collaboration is key. So I would like to get together for sure, and let's just see what we can do.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's stuff that people can teach us, stuff that we can teach each other, but just stuff that wouldn't have happened if it was just me or just you or just Brent or just,
And then we're resources for our clients too.
Yep.
Right.
So the whole thing is I'm not really, I mean, I can do obedience. It's just not like I'm passionate about dogs that are fucked up.
Yeah.
I want them. I want the ones that are going to bite me. That's what I want. I would really like to shift off the obedience and to go strictly, and it's almost there. Like I'm right on that tip. Right. But it would be such a nice resource when someone wants obedience, like, hey,
just go to Mariano. There you go.
No, I'm just saying that, or with board and trains, for instance, right? Sometimes it's not a situation where you can fix what's going on in their home, right? Right, and then maybe a different perspective. Maybe I tag along to an appointment with you, and you get a different. I'll keep my mouth shut, but then after we can talk about something that I might have done.
Dude, come on down. We're open here, man. Like I've been trying to run everything, since I've been lucky enough lately to have been busy enough to start hiring people and all that good stuff. I've been thinking very seriously about what sort of boss do I want to be? What sort of business do I want to run? What sort of program do I want to represent? And I've just had it very open door, where like if you want to come and sit for a lesson or whatever, I'm cool. You can do what you want to do. We're here. It's more just a matter of, I firmly believe that a rising tide raises all ships, and I firmly believe that if I'm giving information, I won't get left behind because I'm the one mixing it up too. I'm in the gym with you, so we're all going to get better. So I'm not really worried about the whole. I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know, boundaries and whatnot, and to me, it's like, whatever, man. If we can help these dogs out, then let's help these dogs out. I'm cool with it.
I'm not in it for I know it sounds messed up. I'm not in it for the human side. For the dogs, bro. Yeah. That's real. I love the humans, right? But I'm sorry, these dogs are puzzles with pieces that just need to be aligned, right? It's
put in the right place.
And I know that doesn't sound like the nicest thing in the world, but I'm about
you're a passionate dog, not just lover, you're kind of obsessed.
Yeah, so the only way that I beat a drug addiction was by finding a cooler addiction, and my cooler addiction is dogs.
Fuck yeah.
Right.
That's the best addiction. I want to close this podcast off with the same question we've asked every single guest.
Yes.
Okay. So obviously dog training is art.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
This is a common theme from everyone we've interviewed. And so we thought, all right, if you're an artist, and let's say you had colors and pencils and charcoal and all this stuff and a canvas and everything that an artist would use, what tool in your artist toolbox do you feel allows you to be the best dog trainer John Gotta can be?
Ooh, that's a good one.
It's a heavy one. Take your time.
I think it's my mentality, right? Being where I came from, running around the streets of Oakland like a idiot, right? Smoking stuff you don't want to know about, right? It taught me a lot about fear, right? And the thing about fear is that when you realize that nobody can hurt you worse than you hurt yourself, you can do amazing things. And when I bring that into my dog training, so a lot of trainers will see, oh, aggressive dog, I'm not handling that. I'm not doing that. I literally march into that situation, right? I think it's all the mentality, right? Yeah, tools are wonderful, prong collars are wonderful, slip leads are wonderful, play stay is wonderful, but it's my mind and the ability to troubleshoot and face my fear. It takes a certain kind of person to throw your hand out and let a dog bite you, right? I think it's my mentality and my ability to troubleshoot.
Yeah. And how would you describe your mentality in more words?
My mentality is no one is going to outwork me. One, but two, the dog is not going to hurt me. Right? Take a finger, whatever. The dog is not going to hurt me. What's going to hurt me is not putting that effort into that dog. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
It's like the passion, you would beat yourself up if you didn't try.
100%.
If you didn't try.
It eats. So
if you would have let fear win.
Yes.
Right. Then that hurts more than a dog bite.
The whole thing is, I used to never be able to sleep. Never. Right. Because I had all this stuff. I wasn't clear-minded. There was always something that I did to somebody that was just in the back of my head, eating me alive. And the things that eat me alive today are the dogs that I couldn't help. Right. When I can't sleep, it's like I had to put a dog down 3 weeks ago. Just horrific situation. And I stared into that dog's eyes and I sang to him. Every dog that I have to put down, this is what I sing. I got the best doggy in the world. I got the best fucking doggy in the world. And I just looked them in the eyes right at that last moment. But it's like now I don't have the fear or like going to bed. I don't think about, oh, what if I just would have had the balls to step up right there? That you know what I mean?
Because you did it.
The things that get to me are, should I put the dog down earlier? I know it's hard to say. Right? Like, should I have? Because I feel like I can save them all. So that's the fear, is when it does come down to it, did I make his life more miserable by trying? You get what I'm saying? So like the dog that I had to put down, like this was just recent, so I'm using him as the example, is I should have put him down much earlier, right? And because I didn't, he hurt somebody, right? You know what I'm saying? And that wasn't the dog's fault whatsoever. It's my fault for not recognizing and my ego getting in the way, thinking I could save everything. Right.
That is a tough, you know what? I definitely, I'm sure I speak for both of us, where you're fucking cool, man. Like I wish I'd have known that you were right here that much sooner, but we definitely need to have you back on. And that, what we're talking about right now, that's something I think that deserves more time, because that's something that a lot of trainers, a lot of rescues, a lot of whatever don't talk about, whether you're for it or against it. It just needs to be talked about, I think, right? Just start airing it out. But that's going to be, I think, a process.
Yes.
Because there's so much feeling around it, right?
Yes, it is.
But
goosebumps.
I just wanted to throw it out there then. So you're coming back to Arizona. I've got a dog coming in. I just met them today, actually. Very overly excitable Pitty is going to be doing some training. I'm going to be doing some e-collar stuff. They have a solid training foundation. I saw and I heard on the phone, and based on what they were telling me, and classic case of the dog knows a lot, but the state of mind isn't there. And I'd be super fascinated to us get together and just kind of get your opinion and see what we can do.
Yeah, totally, man. I'm 100% game. 100% game, dude. Any dog, I don't like I'll take any dog that's having a struggle of any kind. I am 100% down. If I can help you this much to get that dog over the finish line, I'll be there in 5
Well,
seconds.
sometimes that's all it needs. That's the crazy thing is like sometimes you're right there.
Yep.
And I think that's something that more people should know. I think the hard realities of dog training are there are times, where like it's the conversation is should the dog get put down? And it's not always like aggression. Like we had a hard conversation with one of the rescues I work with because a dog was not only reactive, which is fine, I could work with that, but was also older and it had a chronic issue with his pancreas. Like there was all kinds of things that were making it like, is anybody going to adopt this dog? I just don't know. And while I'm happy to keep working the dog, it's like, yeah, but we're getting a lot of other dogs now who also need my help. So I totally get the realism does rear its head. I've felt that before. I know the pressure, but so that's definitely something that deserves more time. That's a topic that I just want to kind of earmark for us for the future.
Okay. I do have one point on this, right?
Go ahead.
So the whole thing, and this has been a struggle for me, is how many more dogs can you save, right? But with certain dogs with fear, they may be good for 3 years, but like as a trainer, he's gonna bite again. It's just a matter of time of when, like we're just treading water until that moment. And the reality is that we need to be more honest with ourselves. And the thing is having you as a person that I have in Arizona, dude, if I have that feeling about a dog, I can call you, bro. What's your take on this? And then I have another trainer who's like, bro, I see where your heart's at, but it's going to happen again. Right. Because the problem with me is me and my buddy Mike, we're bleeding hearts. I want to save them all. And it's like when I say, I don't know about this one, Mike, it needs to be discussed. Does that dog need to be put down?
Yeah, you got to have a network.
And it's hard, right? It's really hard.
It is hard. Well, sometimes you got to remove yourself from the situations. That's why board and trains can be beneficial.
Yes.
And board and trains aside, that's why people ask for advice, right? And it's funny how like everybody knows, like if I ask for advice, it's the funniest thing. Like Brent and I knew each other during one of the more difficult times in my life. And it was funny that advice that I was asking him for, I already knew the answer. I already knew what he was going to say, and I already knew what I was supposed to do. I just needed to hear it. You know what I mean? And I didn't even do it.
Crazy. Yeah.
Right. And I didn't even listen. I just wanted to hear him say it so that I could not do it, so that I can get mad at myself enough to finally be like, you know what, get the fuck over yourself and actually do it this time. So it is funny how the cycle goes.
I had a similar situation with KD Matthews, right? I was giving Bob my he's a management dog. He's messed up. And I was getting everything he wanted, right? Yes, I was doing the hand feeding. Yes, I was watching the affection, right? But I was still giving him tug of war. I was still giving him fetch, and he was still running the house, right? And Katie told me, dude, bro, you're giving him everything he wants. Of course he's going to be good when you're giving him everything he wants, right? And I changed for 6 months. And yes, he is still a management case. Yes, eventually one day he's going to get me. It's coming, right? But it was KD Matthews who explained to me that sometimes you have to strip it all away, right? And let it come back in small increments when the dog starts to respect you. Until this mental shift happens. Well, I want to wrap this up, man. Thank you so much. You've been so generous with your time. Thanks. I know we already went over your time, so I really appreciate you, man. I had fun. Thank you so much. Well, please come back again. I think I'll be back next month, bro. Yeah, perfect. Well, maybe you'll be here next month. Who knows?
Oh, so he can hang out right here. I've got my other mic too.
Oh, yeah.
Guys, if you guys have been listening to this episode and you guys find that it had value, right? Whether you're a young dog trainer looking for rescue work and some advice, please follow this guy, John Gotta. You can follow him at GottaTrain, GOTTA train. Also check him out, www.gottatrain.com. And also, if you guys found this valuable, please share this with at least one other person. If you guys are a trainer working with a rescue organization, if you're a rescue organization who wants to look for good trainers, please share this with a family member, anybody who has a dog, if you found that this was valuable. We want to appreciate you again, John Gotta. This is episode 50. Yeah,
It's like an anniversary.
I know it is.
Yeah.
It totally is. This is episode 50 is a big one, but we hope to have you soon back on the podcast, man. And just thank you again for everything.
Yeah. Oh, and then just one more note, guys.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, just because you don't have time doesn't mean you don't have to. All right, let me rephrase that. Rescues need help, whether it's your time or your money. A little bit can go a long way.
Yeah.
Right. Think of rescues like Repos and Rescues, Incredible Stella, Love Pup Foundation. They're all doing good things for the dog world.
Yeah.
Right.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you guys just look, Google search local rescues in your area, you guys can donate to them, do some research, make sure that they're doing the right job. That's really important. But yeah, definitely. What were the name of those rescues again?
Repos and Rescues, Love Pup Foundation, and Incredible Stella.
Yeah. If you guys want to donate to some already vetted rescues, here you heard it first, Mr. John Gatta. Thank you again, man. We really appreciate you, and we'll see you soon. Again, my name is Brent LaBrada, and that guy over there is Mariano Alvarez. And thank you again to our special guest, John Gatta. We'll see you guys again in episode 51. Peace.
Peace. Thank you for listening to the Dog Trainers Podcast, a podcast created by dog trainers, for dog trainers, or anyone who's ever fallen in love with man's best friend.
We really hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and we hope to see you back for the next one. But in the meantime, please follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Dog Trainers Podcast. Go ahead and leave a comment. Ask us any questions that you want. We would love to connect with our dog trainer communities all around the world. Take care, guys. We'll see you next time.